Hello, everyone. I'm in Kaunas, beg your pardon, in Lithuania, and I'm sitting right here with a very important person in football in this country, young, upwardly mobile football agent by the name Alanas Gubinas. I think I can say that he's one of the first people who brought footballers directly from Africa to Lithuania. He's one of the biggest persons behind the movement of players from Africa to the Lithuanian league that is on the rise. Very nice to meet you
Hi,
here in your
welcome.
city.
Welcome.
Thank you. Tell me, how did you become a football agent? Where did this idea come from?
Yeah, so I was a law student at the University of Vilnius, and I used to play myself when I was young,
Yes.
still young, but when I was in school. I always dreamed to be a player, which I didn't succeed. So when I started to study law, I always knew I'll find my way in football, to do something in football. And since I was studying for a degree, I started to help a few players that I grew up with. One is now in Maribor.
Oh, wow, Maribor.
Yeah, another one is playing in top division of Lithuania. So we started to chat with them. I started to read their contracts, and I liked it. I enjoyed it, and then I started to open new ways, to open new players, to scout new players, and that's how it all began.
Wow. So first it was a passion, and then you got the opportunity to read contracts. You saw how beautiful it is by reading contracts.
Complicated.
That's where we are going. Now, getting now into the business, what has been the experience like?
Yeah, so there is a lot of rumor going around that it's a very closed circuit or very closed market that no agent can enter, and it's very hard. There is a lot of competition, and it's partly true. There is a lot of competition to enter such markets, for example, to become a football agent or a basketball agent, but it's not blocked for you. You can just go and do it. So basically, that's what I did. It was really challenging, especially from a country that is not a football country. The biggest challenge was to find players that could get you income, which I didn't find at first. But if you have other sources of income, as I mentioned to you before,
yes.
for sure you can try and start. And I started by going to minus,
Oh, okay.
by spending my money.
Wow.
But eventually it turned out to be a very successful story, because time went by, agents, players started to trust me.
Yes.
I gained a lot of connections,
Yes.
made some
credibility.
deals that made me credible.
Yes.
And one thing led to another, that we built what we can now call an agency.
Let's talk about numbers. How many players do you have under your agency?
It's over 30 players. Right?
Over 30. How do you get to sleep at night with 30 players you have to manage? And guess what? Not just their contracts.
Yeah, everyday
In
life.
some cases, their everyday life.
Yeah, nah. When I started, I was completely alone. A student, just having a few players that I'm working with, opening the roads to Africa, bringing some players from there. So I started with much less of, much less players than I have now. But then we started to build a team, because you're right. If you would represent 30 plus players alone, it would be
You would burn out.
impossible. So now we have lawyers, we have marketing people, we have another agent in our team. So it became what I can call an agency,
Yes.
not an agent.
Not an
So,
agent. I like that. I like that. Let's talk about Africa.
All right.
Yes. Tell me about your foray into the African market. Where did it start? How did it start?
Yeah, so I was traveling a lot to Croatia to watch football, to learn football there. And I had advice. That's where I met Stefan Makima.
Stephen. Yeah, Stephen here.
So that's where I gained my first connections and first ideas that, look, you are coming from Lithuania. It's really hard to scout in this country. So take players from outside and bring them here. That's how you can enter the bigger markets, through players who come here, not who leave from here. So we started to watch African markets. And actually, the first player I brought was a really interesting story, because I just wrote an email to Jean Gerard.
Wow.
It was not a number, I didn't know him, and he replied, being at that time still a Siemens agent.
Yes.
So it was a surprise to me that he replied.
Sorry to interrupt you. Jean, saying it in the French way, Jean Gerard is the guy that brought Victor Osimhen to Europe. He's a very big part of the superstar Victor Osimhen you see today. So continue.
Yeah, so we started to collaborate with Box to Box. Shout out to them because it's very good academy, very good people there. So they gave me a few players, and I was not really sure how the process works. How do you get those visas and stuff like that? But I had the trust from a few clubs back here. And actually, one of the clubs that we brought the first players to is now working as an agent together with me in the agency.
Wow,
He used to be
interesting.
sports director there.
Interesting.
So we went through this process together with a few of the clubs. We started to build a relationship with the embassies, with people around the embassies, with VFS and stuff like that to control the chance to get the visa. And at that time, during pandemic, it was I would say easier, which is pretty ironic because it was much harder to travel.
Yes.
And
then it was easy for you.
but for me, it was in some way easy
Yeah.
because we had this embassy in Turkey, Lithuanian embassy, that we knew that papers will go there. And if clubs back you up, if clubs give you contract, if clubs give you, messages to the embassy confirming that this is real, this is not a random trial or whatever, they're actually into the player and they will give him accommodation and stuff like that, they issued the visas with the trust. Right now, this process is much different. So the beginning was like that, but it changed a lot.
You worked with a player called Alanas Gulbinas, superstar.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
No, it was. We already had a few young players back here. Me and Stefan were chatting a lot. He was the agent of Alanas at that time, and he was in Denmark.
Yes.
He had some problems there. I'm not sure if I remember correctly what happened, so I'm not going to comment on that.
Yes.
But he got an invitation to come to, at that time, champions of Lithuania, Vilnius Žalgiris.
Ah, okay.
So it was the only club on Asia accepted in the Baltics that, okay, this is a recognized club, here I would try. For him, it was much lower money, and in his standards,
Yes.
it was not the same.
Yes.
But when he chose to come here, for me as an agent, it was my first bigger player that I actually moved.
Yes.
So yeah, that experience was, for me, I'm thankful to him that he came here through me, became my friend. That's how I met you. So
Yes.
so yeah, he was an amazing person.
Now, let's go back to Nigeria. What are the challenges you face? I know visa is one of them. What has been the biggest challenge you face working with players from Nigeria?
With players or how to bring them?
How to bring the players, yes.
Bringing them is a very simple reason, very simple problem is visas. It's for sure visas. And when the process was more controlled, that you knew which embassy will process the question of visa, it was more controlled. You had more chances to understand if that visa is gonna be issued. Right now, you never know who will answer those questions, in which embassy it will lay out to be processed, and you have no control. You apply and you don't know. So it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of unknownness. You are not sure if it's gonna happen or not, and that's why clubs became a bit reluctant to even go into the process.
With players from
Yeah.
Nigeria.
But we still managed to bring players from time to time, but it became, the amounts of players we bring became much less just because of this process.
You have brought in to Lithuania from Nigeria, let me say, rough figure, 20 players.
Around that number, yeah.
Compare in terms of success story. What does it mean like?
How do you define success story?
Okay,
Signed or-
let me break it down. Success story will be who became big in Lithuania and moved out of Lithuania.
So the ones that I brought who became big, I would say only 3-4 players.
Okay.
Of course, including Coyote.
Yes,
I would say
yes.
it's a success story. He became a professional player.
Yes.
There were a few that signed, that became pros, that went out of Lithuania, but I wouldn't say they became big.
Yeah, okay.
But for sure, more than 50-60% just
Success
disappeared.
story.
No, they were unsuccessful.
Okay, okay.
So it's like 30-40% they were.
What would you attribute that to? A lot of these players coming from Nigeria, what do you think are the things that hinder their progress when they come to Lithuania?
I mean, so of course, it's a lot of character in it, but of course, it's what surrounds the player is really important. If the club is patient to give him time, because he will most definitely need time. If he has people who can help him, that's also a very big advantage. But I think the crucial thing to survive these first 2 years that are crazy hard, and I think players can confirm that to you who've been to Lithuania, it's extremely hard to cope with first seasons because people just don't care until you show that
What
you can
you've
progress.
got, yeah.
So until you show that, you are basically on your own, and with agent or a few people that helped you came here. And if it's the right people, then you have some support, but it's still really hard. So the crucial thing then is, can you survive it as a person, as a character?
Yes, yes.
So if you are strong as a person and you survive those first 1 or 2 years, everything else then becomes much easier.
Let's talk about the field. A lot of players coming from Africa still struggle tactically. Is that also a problem here in Lithuania for them at the beginning when they move here?
Yeah, I think that's usually the biggest problem, because even though Lithuania is not
A big,
the top league or,
Yes.
or top level of
Yeah.
football, they're still trying to live by European standards,
Yeah.
in terms of tactics, and there is a lot of tactic here. And clubs are not that big, but that's even more so why they do so much tactic, because it's hard to compete.
Yes.
And then players who don't have this tactical knowledge, tactical understanding, tactical schooling, they struggle at first. So that's why I say you need to find a club who will take this time, who have luxury to invest in you for a few years without return, without getting good minutes from you, until you actually learn those things. But it's not something you cannot learn.
Yes.
It's something you come. One player will learn it in a month. One player will learn it in a year. It's adaptation. It takes time.
Is it easy for the African player to just get into Lithuania and become a success story? Because the mentality or the belief back home is, it's Lithuania. They concede 10 goals against Portugal. They don't know how to play. If I go there, I will blow everyone out of the water. I will get into the first team.
Nah, it's climate.
Yes.
It's a funny thing, but to come here in winter,
I see.
it takes a few months to even get used to the climate.
Yes.
So for sure, it's not easy to play. It's a very big myth that you can come here and it's easy. It's not. Even in second division, it's pretty competitive.
Wow.
But it's competitive because the level, even if you are a very talented person, you will not have 20 analytics around you that show you every problem you might have. Is not Barcelona, and you are learning on your own basically, and with a few coaches that help you, and you are not getting around you superstar players who will pass you the ball in the most precise way possible.
Correct.
So you are not getting the support that could teach you around you in the top level. So you can't expect that you'll come here and score 20 goals. If you do that, you are $1 million player immediately.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
We've seen only one example as a striker who came here, but he was not straight from Nigeria. He was already in Slovenia.
Okay,
Came
we see
here,
this.
he was immediately a superstar. I mean, immediately you can see he can play in Žalgiris, he can score, but he had experience in Europe.
Talking about players who passed through Lithuania, one of the biggest stories is Terence Murphy. He's moved on to Nice, Belgium, Nice, and now Porto. Tell us the background story. A lot of people don't know how it all started.
I was not even an agent when he came to Lithuania.
Wow.
I started like 7 years ago in this field, but he was here like 7 or 8 years ago. So it was around the same time.
Wow.
But I remember at that time one club in Lithuania actually refused him, saying he's not good enough. Then he went to another club and he was not a star there immediately as well. He struggled a lot. First years, Mofi could tell it I think better than me. But
Yes, I can imagine.
I think first years for him were really tough. But once he shined, he blew.
And then the rest, as they say,
the
is
rest
history. Do you work in other continents apart from Nigeria?
Yeah. I do a lot of work in Americas, and we do a lot of work with Japan. So I represent currently 2 Japanese players. One of them is playing in Azerbaijan.
Oh, wow.
He's part of Nefci. Another one came back to Kaunas, but he was in Helsinki. He was in RFS. So we do a lot of work with a few continents. Of course, scouting in Africa is, I think, the most interesting.
I can imagine.
But at the same time, much harder than dealing with Japan, for example.
Tell me the difference in terms of processing of their passage to Europe, Japan, South America, and Nigeria. What is the difference between these three?
Yeah, so South America has a problem with language. Usually the players don't speak English, and it's really
Yes.
hard to come here and adapt quickly
Yes.
because you don't speak, even a few words in English. So it's really hard. And with Africa, which is an advantage for Africa, they usually do speak English. Most of the countries,
Yes.
at least they have a common knowledge of the
Yes.
language.
Yes.
Same with Japan. There is sometimes a language barrier, but they have, both Japan and South America have a much bigger advantage to come here just because the visa process is much easier.
Explain for the understanding of the person watching.
So, for example, if you travel from Colombia or Japan, you can, without any visa, you can just come here for 90 days and do the trial,
Wow.
and then make the papers.
why
while
if
here.
you pass the
Yeah,
trial?
if you pass the trial, you can make the
Oh,
work
okay.
permit.
Okay.
With African players, to get the visa, you cannot get even a traveling visa without VFS, without all this process. This takes months to go through, and then there is a lot of problems with players not having correct passports, players not having correct documentation, birth certificates, which is a bit more fixed in South America and Japan. Of course, Japan is this
Of
well-developed
course,
country,
it's
so it's hard to
absolutely
compare.
one of the most developed
Yeah.
countries in the world.
So it's hard to compare, but I mean, for them, it's much easier to come here.
Before we finish, Lithuanian football, what would you say it is right now?
I'm dreaming to say that it's living through renaissance because the league is getting better, the level is getting better, the salaries are getting higher. Of course, then the club's expectations are getting much higher.
Mhm.
But it's getting better. But yeah, we still have a lot to
A long way to go.
do. Wrong load.
For you, what is the vision? You bring players from Africa here, you bring from Japan, from South America. Do you see yourself taking players from here to the Bundesliga, French League,
I would
La
just did
Liga,
that. We
and
just
the
did
likes?
that.
Do you see that happening in the near future?
Yeah, I see that happening. We have now, a few players playing in really high level in Italy, in Portugal, in top divisions. We have so to call, stars of
Yes.
Lithuania, diamonds, and I think a lot of are coming. We scout the youth a lot, Lithuanian youth, and now we signed a boy in Empoli. So
wow.
yeah, things are moving. I think we'll surprise the world.
Yes, yes, I
hope
like that.
so.
Final question. A message to a young Nigerian footballer like Kayode in 2021. Watching this video, who wants to go to Lithuania to play? Who wants to go to Europe? What would be your message?
Be stubborn. Be
Positively.
stubborn for your dream.
Positively stubborn.
Yeah, you have to believe. You have to, don't hang your hands too quickly. Take your time. Even if you succeed to come here, first years might be hard, but if you keep going, you'll become that success example. But of course, if you come here, come through right people. This is crucial. Because if you don't have support around you while being in Europe, not necessarily in Baltics, it might be a problem.
Thank you. Thank you for your
Thank you
time
for having me.
and keep winning. Keep
Yeah,
winning.
Sure.
All the best.